Hello, and welcome to Coffee on Korriban. This video is a little bit weird, I guess. First off, it's a solo stream, and I'm not very good at solo streaming, but I'm going to try. I want to get better at it, and what better way to get better than to practice? But please take everything I say with like a chunk of Himalayan rock salt, I guess. This is mostly my opinion, anecdotal, I suppose. And also, as far as the leak that we'll get into talking about a little bit later in this video, I don't have any evidence for it. I've just heard people talking about it. And so I'm going to kind of come at it from the idea of, if this is true, what could this mean for Star Wars? So we're going to get into it. First, what I'm drinking tonight, I got this awesome mug from a place called K-Brew. It is a local coffee shop in my area in Tennessee. And as far as I know, they only have 2 locations. But I went there and checked it out the other day, and it was really good coffee. And I decided to grab a mug. As for what I'm drinking tonight, it is Virgil's root beer. I didn't want coffee because I got a meeting in the morning. And I like root beer sometimes, like nice sodas and stuff. But that's what I'm drinking. Maybe if you guys would like, I can start doing reviews of coffee shops in my local area or different coffees or something. I might be able to branch out into that. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. But we're going to get right into the subject of tonight. But first, we have to say hello to Mr. Phil McCracken. Here's a sip for you. And he has quite a few hashtags here. Hashtag down with the mouse. Yeah. As you saw in my thumbnail, it's kind of the idea of this video is the mouse versus Obi-Wan, the Disney Corporation versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. And what do I mean by that? Well, whether intentional or unintentional, it almost seems like it's their goal to bring down the Star Wars franchise, at least from what we all assume it to be and what we've all known it to be the entire time we've been Star Wars fans, which is quite unfortunate. And as I said, whether intentional or unintentional, it seems like that is the way that everything is going. So whether it's a conscious fight that Disney is putting on to destroy Star Wars and all of its fans, or whether it just happens to be that way, the get woke, go broke stuff, I don't know. But I got some talking points that I wanted to bring up here, and hopefully you guys can understand where I'm coming from this. Now, if you saw my my open letter to Disney video, you'll know I'm not very happy with Disney right now. It's kind of a sad situation because I love Disney. I grew up watching Disney, going to Disneyland twice a week most of the time. So this is it's a tough spot for me to be in because I like Disney, but not right now. It's unfortunate. And as I said in the beginning, please disregard everything I say in this video as regarded as nothing more than hearsay and a bit of frustration just kind of bottled up into some form of media that hopefully you find entertaining. But anyway, we're going to talk about some of the Disney problems that they've been having right now. First off, the personal anecdote about the agenda, the not so secret gay agenda or queer agenda, as far as everything that has come out. I pretty much said everything I needed to on that subject in my video to the Disney Corporation, Disney Company, whatever it might be officially called. But it's sad because it kind of taints my view of Star Wars. I'm not as excited for this show as I should be and as I could be because of this stuff with Disney. I can't really feel, I don't feel like I can really fully get behind the series because I know who made it. And I know there's people out there that completely disagree with me, and maybe they think that having this sort of agenda in their company is a good thing. And that's a totally different discussion for a different time. A good question for another time, but we're not going to get into that today. But it's hard to be enthusiastic about a product when you know that the company hates your guts. And that's a little bit of a hyperbolic way to say that. But really, I feel very strongly about that situation, and Disney does not agree with that. They obviously don't because they have that agenda. And so it's hard for me to get behind the product when I know that the company doesn't wish that I was the way that I was. And so it's a little bit unfortunate. As far as the get woke, go broke, is that really kind of the situation behind it? I don't know. Is it just specifically that they're going woke and then they're going to go broke? I don't know. They're going to make money regardless because it's Disney and they have their fingers in everything. I don't know. Is it that they are going woke? I don't really know. Phil McCracken says, testify, you're getting me screaming. Yeah, it's a tough situation. And I have a lot of passion about this situation. I've always said that this channel is not the place to discuss politics. Maybe in the future, I'm very political, but I've been trying to keep that off of the channel. But when it involves the product that I love so much, the franchise that is Star Wars, I have to speak up a little bit from the perspective of a Star Wars fan, someone who considers myself to be probably the biggest Star Wars fan in the entire world that doesn't have a really nice lightsaber or a lightsaber at all. So, need to crash, have treatment tomorrow, but your like has been smashed. But I'll catch the replay. Well, good to see you. Thank you very much for stopping by. And here's another sip for you. Get some rest. What's up, Aset? When the imposter is sus. Well, hopefully I'm sus. I like to keep things a little weird. But here's a sip for you. Also, a lot of the music that you guys hear in intros and stuff is Aset music. So thank you very much, sir. But to continue on my my little rant, there's been rumors about Disney losing 350,000 subscribers in the first 5 days since all those secret tapes came out and stuff. As far as I was able to tell, there's no evidence to back that up. Disney doesn't really release their numbers of their subscribers except for like every quarter. And they have not announced any numbers, any official numbers since the time that those videos came out or the Florida bill came out. So there's no evidence to back up that 350,000 subscribers lost since all of this stuff took place, but I wouldn't doubt it. I absolutely would not doubt it. I was not paying for Disney Plus to begin with, but if I had been, I would definitely have canceled my subscription. And if you saw that video where I addressed Disney directly, you'll know that I do not buy Disney products anymore. There's been quite a few situations where I've consciously changed brands in order to not have a Disney licensed logo on the diapers or whatever it may be. And another example, which is a bigger dollar amount, is I was planning a trip for Disney World this summer. I've never been to Florida, and it's relatively close to me, and I thought it might be fun to go and check that out. But I instead got Dollywood passes. I spent $700 of my hard-earned money, which is very hard-earned. And we got Dollywood passes, and we've been loving that. We're going almost every week, and it's been awesome. And I don't feel like my daughters are missing out. I like Disneyland. I would have liked to check out Disney World, but unfortunately, that's just how it goes. So one question that I wanted to pose to you guys is all of the crazy rumors or anything you might have been hearing about the Kenobi show, or even think about something that would completely ruin the show for you. Is it beyond the realm of possibility? And what I mean by that is think of some crazy situation where something either woke or just bad storytelling might take place in this Kenobi series. Is it beyond the realm of possibility? For example, all the leaks about the ending of The Rise of Skywalker with Palpatine saying, I am all the Sith, and she says, I'm all the Jedi. And we heard all those leaks that came out right there. And then she double blocks the lightsabers to deflect the lightning back at him. That seemed so unreasonable and lame. But it turned out to be true. And so I always thought back then, like, if that's true, this is before the Rise of Skywalker came out, but if that's true, that's terrible. That's just horrible. And of course, it did turn out to be horrible. But at that time, I was thinking, is it beyond the realm of possibility? Is this something that they would actually do and either do it on purpose for whatever storytelling reason, or not know and just not have the vision to understand that that's not what the fans want? And so a lot of the leaks I've been hearing about Kenobi and the things that they might do and stuff, while I don't have any evidence to back any of that up, is it beyond the realm of possibility? And I was talking on the phone with my brother-in-law the other day, and he said, "What if they make Obi-Wan gay and him and Qui-Gon have a thing?" And the whole woke stuff aside, is it beyond the realm of possibility? And I have to say no. Like, it's totally something I could see them doing. Like, oh, it's not considered an attachment if you're in love with another Jedi or something like that. Like, the fact that it wouldn't really surprise you all that much if they threw that in there says something. If this leak that I'm about to talk about in just a few minutes turns out to be true, the fact that it even seems possible, it's within the realm of possibility, says something about their track record with these series. And that's not just about the gay agendas or whatever kind of agendas, because that's not all of it. It's just bad storytelling for the most part. But is it within the realm of possibility? And if it is, that has to say something with Disney's track record in their storytelling so far. So these supposed leaks, again, take these with a block of Himalayan sea salt with an LED inside that makes you think that you're contacting spirits or whatever, and go ahead and lick that while I'm talking to you about this. But this has to do with Reva, and the ending of the Kenobi series. So again, no evidence for this, but yeah, well, we'll talk about it nonetheless. And Leia Rose, here's a sip for you, and hopefully you'll get your mug soon, because that is awesome. Congratulations again for that. And here's a sip for you. She says, the ending leak I heard was out, but I do not believe it. Yeah, and again, my point being, whether the leak turns out to be true or not, the fact that it is something that we would think that they would do is disheartening and kind of sad. But to talk about the leak just a little bit, it has Reva, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, the "you can't escape him" from the trailer, the lady Inquisitor. She ends up cornering Luke, Owen, Beru, I guess, in their hut on Tatooine, from what I've heard, and cannot bring herself to kill them, leaves Tatooine, goes back to Vader, and tells him that she killed Obi-Wan Kenobi. And she turns out to be the hero, essentially. And Vader says, nope, that's not possible, that you killed Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he kills her, and she becomes the hero. That just sounds like plain bad writing. It has nothing to do with any woke or agenda or anything. It just sounds bad. But the fact, again, that we're entertaining that as a possibility is kind of sad. So it sounds like it fits in perfectly with what we know of Disney modern storytelling. All the Disney movies I've seen recently, I did not like. I watched, what was the most recent one? Jungle Cruise. It was. It had some decent parts, and it was kind of funny in some parts, but as a movie, it was just poor, just subpar. It wasn't great. And so I don't know if the imagination has left the kingdom or whatever, but it just doesn't seem like they are putting in the quality storytelling that is required of a Star Wars film or show. There were parts of that in Boba Fett and The Mandalorian, especially Mandalorian season 2. But you can still argue that the story writing just isn't Star Wars. It's weird. It is. I mean, it fits in Disney. It fits with Disney. But that's kind of, it's not Star Wars is the point I'm trying to make. And I liked Boba Fett a lot more than most people. But another point that I wanted to make here is, if this is true and that Reva is the hero of the story, I don't know how much screen time she has compared to Obi-Wan, but it almost seems like, just from that leak, that it's another example of them tossing a main character aside in favor of bringing up a new character or characters. Is Reva their attempt at banking off of the Kenobi name to bring up a new character? And what would be the logical sense of that? Just to use Obi-Wan Kenobi to introduce this Reva character so they can, I don't know, maybe have, if their track record holds, a spin-off show about her or whatever, because everyone gets a spin-off now. But it just seems like they're using the Kenobi name to have a whole new story that has nothing to do with Kenobi based on that leak. Do they have an obsession with just bringing in new characters, like out with the old, in with the new, let the past die, kill it if you have to type of situation, where they're just bringing in new characters for the sake of it, and not paying the respect that the old characters deserve? And of course, it's always a cash grab. Disney has always been a cash grab, of course. Star Wars has always been about selling merchandise, so it's always a cash grab. And at the end of the day, it is a business, and they have to appeal to the widest amount of people that they can. And maybe necessarily the majority of people won't have a problem with an ending like this to the series. Obviously, it didn't work with Book of Boba Fett because it seemed like there was a lot of people, despite the numbers, that enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett. So I don't really know if it's an obsession with bringing in new characters or what. Like, do they feel like they have to disrespect the old characters just because? I don't know. Actus Nero, here's a sip for you. Good to see you. He says, what would you say would be a contrast between the George Lucas and Disney storytelling? That is a really good question, and probably a good question for another time. Probably a good video all on its own, a topic just on that, or a live stream. That is a really good question, but I would have to say, I was going to say the cheesiness, but the original storytelling was cheesy. It was just honest, and the new stuff seems forced. It does not seem like genuine storytelling, where Luke's story, you can boil it down in A New Hope very simply. It closely mirrors the hero's journey. There's been tons of live streams that talk about that, about Luke and his hero's journey, but it's very simple. It's not overcomplicated, and the storytelling is cheesy. It relies on those science fiction, Western, Japanese samurai tropes. And I think another reason, and I've said this quite a bit from the beginning of Disney Star Wars, even before I had a channel talking about Star Wars, is it feels like the storytelling is modern and set in our time rather than timeless. There's certain phrases that they use, even just in the dialogue, that place it in the year 2022 or something like that. And I think probably the biggest example of that is at the very beginning of The Force Awakens, which is what set me off on disliking the sequel trilogy just from the very beginning, where Poe, this epic scene, this fight scene, all the stormtroopers, and then Kylo Ren stops the bolt midair, which is insane. That blew my mind, as I'm sure it blew everyone else's mind. And then he gets on his knees, and Poe says, "So what? You talk first? I talk first?" Like, that's just cheesy. That doesn't seem like it belongs in Star Wars. That type of dialogue. Finn saying, "Well, you got a boyfriend?" Like, that just doesn't seem like it fits. Maz Kanata, where's my boyfriend? Like, there's just little tiny lines that to me all add up to feel not Star Wars. It feels like the storytelling is set now. They're speaking to the audience now, which, and I've said before, I think stemmed from the success that Marvel was having at the time. And Lucasfilm, Disney thought that they could take the Star Wars name and the Marvel storytelling and smush them together, and it would be an instant success. And to a lot of people, it was. And money-wise, it was. But from a Star Wars standpoint and from a fan enjoyment standpoint like myself, or to a fan like myself, it didn't work. Star Wars has to be timeless. You cannot feel like Star Wars is taking place in our world, because then it just feels like a cheap movie about Star Wars, or a movie that we would make now, but set in the Star Wars universe with some Star Wars characters and aliens and stuff. So that, I think, would probably be the biggest difference that I see between the George Lucas and Disney storytelling. Is the George Lucas is timeless, and probably partially, to wrap it back up to what I was saying earlier, having to do with the simplicity of the storytelling. Now, obviously, the prequels got way more complex, but it was set in that world. The prequels were set completely in the Star Wars universe. There's not really anything in there that you could find that it was specific to when the years that they came out, except for like, that's a wizard, Annie, or something like that. But that would probably be my pick as to why the storytelling feels different. And it all comes down to feel. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is that makes it the way that it is. What's up, Daryl? If you'd like, you're welcome to join. I don't like solo streaming. I'm not good at it. I got a few more points to talk on, and then I'll answer some questions in the chat. We'll just kind of communicate. But yeah, Actus, that's a very great question. And I might make a video specifically on that, or do a live stream specifically on that. But thank you for that. I appreciate the question. Next, what I wanted to talk about, and kind of continuing off of this leak, is cash grab. That's what I was talking about before. Obviously, it's a cash grab. It's a way to make money. It's a business. I get it. But it's sad to see all of our favorite characters who start to feel like our friends and our mentors and our brothers, our parents. Like they feel familial to us. They feel really close to us, which is why a lot of people were hurt by Luke Skywalker. But it's sad to see them flush down the toilet, apparently because they're not new. Like what's wrong with keeping those same characters and giving them more detail and helping us love them more? Obi-Wan Kenobi, old Ben Kenobi in the originals, was an awesome character, but they gave him so much more depth in the prequels. They didn't throw him away just to get a new Jedi on the scene. They expanded upon it. And so I really hope that this leak is not true, but I would not be surprised if it is. And that, again, that goes back to what I was saying. If it's within the realm of possibility, what does that tell you about Disney's track record? So, and having to do with this Reva character, it obviously has nothing to do with race, because Mace Windu is one of people's favorite character. And you don't see Star Wars characters saying like, oh, I love Star Wars, except that Mace Windu guy, I can't get behind him because he's black. Like, you don't ever hear people say that. And as far as like gender of this Reva character, you don't hear people saying, oh, I love Star Wars, especially the originals, but Leia, I mean, she's a woman, and we know that we can't have women running at this corner of the galaxy. No one says that because they don't care, because they're well-written characters. And I hope this Reva character is a well-written character, but based on this this leak, sure, her character comes full circle and she turns to the light side and remembers her Jedi training or whatever and gives up the way of being an Inquisitor. Sure, but it seems like bad storytelling. It seems like a poorly written character. And it has nothing to do with those specific agendas for her character specifically. But if it's forced, it won't land. If it's not an organic character, it won't land and people won't respond the correct way to it. The situation of her being like a female empowerment type of character, and that's her purpose, if the agenda is forced, it's not going to work. It cannot come before the story. The agenda cannot come before the story. Trying to make Princess Leia into a powerful character wouldn't have worked if that came before the story. Padme being a strong character, Ahsoka being a strong character would not have worked if that came before the stories. The story has to come first. The quality of the characters has to come first. And then all the other stuff, the action sequences and the dialogue, that's all later, which is why in the originals we can overcome all the cheesiness. In the prequels, we can overcome the bad CGI and the cheesiness. I mean, Star Wars is cheesy, but we can overlook all that stuff because the story comes first. And to me, my favorite thing about Star Wars, I've said this a billion times, well, probably not a billion, but the most important thing in Star Wars to me is the world building. Make me feel like it's a real place expand upon it, make me feel small in that universe, make me feel that if I go there, there's an unlimited amount of stuff that I could learn about that place, and I would never be able to see it all, just like the real world. But again, all of that comes before the agenda. You can have a strong female character. You can have different races of characters. Obviously, Star Wars is multiracial. I've heard the phrase before. I don't remember who said it directly, but how can anyone accuse us of being racist when we're all attracted to like a green skinned Twi'lek or something like that? like that doesn't even enter people's minds. So whether it's, a gay agenda or going woke or empowerment, it doesn't matter. It cannot come before the story. The story and the world has to come first. And the characters have to come first. And then whatever kind of messaging you want to push through that has to go secondary, and it has to be natural. And that's kind of how I feel about that. So to summarize, I'm excited about Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I'm not putting too much weight on it. I'm very excited. I cannot wait to see it because we're getting new Star Wars. Like, what serious Star Wars fan is going to be upset with that just because of leaks and recent Disney stuff that's coming out? I'm not paying for Disney Plus, but I would be watching it, reacting to it, making videos, doing live streams and stuff. If it's good, I'm going to be happy. I'll be completely honest with that. I'll be really happy because I really hope that this Disney stuff that has come out has not had an effect on the Star Wars that's going to come out. And if it's bad, okay. I don't really care all that much, which is really sad to say. And again, tying it back to what I said at the very beginning of this video, it's sad for me because I loved Disney so much. I grew up going to Disneyland. I tell people as a joke, I grew up in Disneyland because I was homeschooled. I would take my school into Disneyland and do my school in Disneyland. I went to Disneyland for school. So it's really sad for me. And as a father, with all this agenda stuff that's come out with the secret tapes and everything, and I know there's more that we're not seeing because that's all the stuff that we've seen. It's sad for me, and that casts Star Wars in a different light than I would like it to. It's unfortunate. But if it's good, I will enjoy it. And I'm really going to try to focus on enjoying as much as I can. One of the ways I'm going to do that is I'm not going to watch other people's live streams, discussion videos, breakdowns. I'm not going to watch anything. I'm going to watch it, react to it, review it, maybe do a live stream discussing it, which sounds a little hypocritical. I'm not going to watch anyone else's stuff, but I expect people to watch my stuff. But I'm going to really try to stay away from outside influence, from what other people are thinking. And if you want to do that same thing, I have no problem with you not watching my videos. If you want to just watch through the series, have your own thoughts on it so you don't get discouraged by what other people have to say about it, then feel free to go ahead and do that. And I felt like during the Book of Boba Fett, there was an episode that I would watch it, I would really like it, and then I would go and watch what other people said about it, and they didn't like it, or they really disliked it. And it would affect the way that I felt about that episode, even though I was positive about it just a few hours earlier. And so I'm going to avoid that this time as much as I can, not really letting anyone taint my opinion of the episodes. And I'm going to try to enjoy it as much as I can. That's really all I can say. I'm going to try to enjoy it. And if I don't really care that much. It's sad to say that I don't care about Star Wars, and that's not really how I want to feel. But that's what it is. So if you guys have any other questions for me while I'm still live, I'll be happy to answer those. And yeah. Actus, were you the guy that recommended those two videos I should react to? I can't remember if that was you or someone else. But he says Luke was deconstructed in the sequels. Yeah. For what reason? To make way for the new characters. And I felt like that line from Kylo Ren was really telling in The Last Jedi, that Rian Johnson was speaking directly to us. And I've got my own thoughts on Rian Johnson. Not all negative, mind you. But that line where he said, "Let the past die, kill it if you have to." I felt like, was he talking to me? Is he saying like ignore how you feel about these characters you grew up with because you you want to make way for new characters. I guess, but that doesn't feel right. And so, yeah, Luke was deconstructed. I hope they don't do the same thing with Obi-Wan Kenobi. I want a show. Give me this show. If I could make Obi-Wan Kenobi how I wanted to, give me a show where I see the contrasting struggles between Obi-Wan feeling like he completely failed, not just his Padawan, but the entire Jedi Order, and by extension, the entire light side of the Force. Give me the struggle that he's dealing with this, trying to stay positive and trust in the Force, but also feeling the weight of all the guilt of all the lives that were lost, and he feels like he blames himself. I want to see that struggle. I want to see Qui-Gon helping him through it. And on the other end, I want to see Vader, Anakin. I want to see Anakin try to poke through the veil of Vader. I want to see him struggle. I want to see him in his meditation chambers, just completely battling against himself and trying to keep Anakin down and only let Vader out on the surface. Let me see how he's dealing with that. Let me see it tear him apart. Let me see it break his body more than the lightsaber and the lava did back on Mustafar. That's what I want to see. Focus on that. And then you can have Inquisitors and Luke and Owen and Beru and all that secondary. That's cool. I don't want to see that first. This is a period that we have not seen in Star Wars, especially when it comes to Obi-Wan and Vader on the big screen. Now there's comics and everything along those lines, but this is something that we really haven't seen, and they have an opportunity to fill in the blanks emotionally with the characters. Let the story and the character development drive the way, and then you can have your strong female character on the side or whatever your agenda is. But have that be secondary. It's like, is that too much to ask? There's 19 years of them on this planet. I want to see him deal with this. Like, that's got to be so much emotional weight. You trained thinking it was the chosen one, the guy that went to destroy the entire Jedi Order. That's really heavy. And I want to see that. I hope we see that. And if we don't, I'll be really sad. Actus says, yes, it was me. Well, thanks, dude. I'm going to check those out actually right now. Because it looks like I'm in a studio. This is my dining room table with a wall and 2 pictures behind me and some lights. I got to tear all this down so we can eat dinner and breakfast and stuff. So while it's all set up, I'm going to react to those before I go to bed. But yeah, thanks for those suggestions. And thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. And it's good to see you here in the chat. Interesting. People forget that Anakin is a broken and tragic character. Yes. And that's the beauty of Anakin / Vader. It's the Vader we get in the original trilogy is a monster. He's a machine. He's more machine than man now. But we see at the very end, he's broken. And one of my favorite lines, and probably my favorite line in all of Star Wars, is in Return of the Jedi, when Luke says, I know that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father. That name no longer has any meaning to me. And then what's the line? He says, like, come back to the light. I know there's still hope, light in you, or something along those lines. And Vader says, it is too late for me, son. That line right there is like my favorite line in all of Star Wars. One of them, top 5 at least. But the fact that we get a little bit of Anakin breaking through, that little bit of humanity breaking through the robot, is just so powerful to me. But he really is a broken and tragic character. It's the most tragic character. And of course, you've seen the memes with Rey's face, and it says, name a character that went through more stuff. I'll wait, or whatever. Anakin, my goodness, sacrificed everything to save Padme and lost her and lost everything. And that's a whole another topic in and of itself, and we can talk about that at a different time. But how tragic and broken. I want to see that. I want to see that manifest itself on screen. I want to see the pain that he's going through. I want to see Anakin try and fail to bubble up to the surface. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see Reva turning back to the light side. Nobody cares about her. Maybe they will by the end of the show. But as of right now, no one knows who she is. No one cares about her. People know Anakin and Vader and Obi-Wan and Luke. People care about those characters. That's what it's going to get the hardcore Star Wars fans on board with your project. That's what I want to see. So thank you everyone for coming by tonight and watching. If you've been here from the beginning, I really appreciate your time. May the stash be with you, and I will see you wherever I happen to see you in the galaxy.